Ready, guys? Good evening. Today is Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Bachman.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Lundberg.
Here.
Mayor Sullivan.
Here.
Councilmember Pratt.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Grabowski.
Here.
The city manager is not going to be here this evening. He had a family emergency. City attorney.
Here.
DPW director.
Here.
Finance director.
Here.
Community development director.
Here.
Police chief.
Here.
Fire chief.
Here.
City engineer.
Here.
Roll call complete.
Thank you. Public hearings, we have none. Citizens' comments on agenda-related items. Yes. Okay. Public hearings, consent agenda. All agenda items marked with an asterisk are on the consent agenda and considered by the city manager to be routine matters. Prior to approval, any member of council may have an item removed and taken up during the regular portion of the meeting. Items include approval of minutes, cash balances, revenue and expenses, notification regarding next study session. At this time, council could take action to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Support.
Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Bachman.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lundberg.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pratt.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grabowski.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Now we will have introduction to our new building official, Jerry Blue. Hello.
Hi, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council, for allowing me to serve as building official, city building official. I come from the youngest of 9, so I'm used to, let's say, controversy and adverse situations. The reason that I'm here today is because I want to serve the public. That's been my goal since 2008 when I first became a building official. Prior to that, actually, I became a building inspector. 3 years later, I became a building official. I've served in 5 different municipalities: Alpena County, Alpena Township, Wilson Township, Pere Marquette Township, now the city of Manistee. Hopefully I'll be around a while, God willing, and again, I'm honored to be here. In addition to being a building official, plan reviewer, and building inspector, I hold certification in water operations and luminous treatment, and I'm a firefighter 1 and 2 with hazmat, driver's training, and several other certificates. So no college degrees, but I have a master's degree in life, and I'm going to continue to learn. And I really want to stress that it's important to serve the public. That's what it's all about. I think that people expect us to go above and beyond to make sure their lives are easier, and that's what my goal is here. So if you have any questions.
Welcome to Manistee.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to excuse myself. I told my wife I'd bring her some dinner home. So.
Okay, have a good night. Consideration of approving a contract for replacement of the clean water recovery facility secondary digester cover. The secondary digester cover experienced a structural failure while removing the annual sludge. Spicer Group recommended complete removal and replacement. The project was designed and bid. One bid received from RK Davis, Inc. in the amount of $267,809. Insurance proceeds will fund the entire project. At this time, council could take action to approve the contract with RK Davis, Inc. in the amount of $267,809 and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the document. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
What exactly happened to, how did it happen? It's covered by insurance, so what, is this just normal wear and tear that it all of a sudden?
I believe the original cover was built in the 70s, 80s, but it was
Phone cover?
in your packet, I think I put a picture in there.
Yeah.
To help you understand the mass of this thing.
Yeah, it's huge.
That floated. It floated on gas. So when sludge was pumped into there on a daily basis, the bacteria continue to work. They expel gas, and that gas actually would lift that cover and float it, and then the gas was then siphoned off and burned with a flare. So to float, it had guide rails and rollers in it. I know that they've had major issues with that moving cover at least 3 times in the 30 years that I've been around the city. We just rehabbed this a year before this happened. But basically what the engineers believe happened as it was coming down, as we were emptying it, one of the rollers got pinched, twisted, and then what happened is it created a vacuum underneath it, and it dimpled the top, and it was unrepairable.
Okay.
So we worked with the insurance company. They agreed that this was not something that could have been avoided, and it was covered, so.
Okay, glad to hear that.
So
Big bill.
if you approve this contract, it's for a fixed cover, so that we don't have those operation maintenance, and we're not under that threat anymore. So it's a totally different design, and I think will be better for us in the future.
So it won't be on any rollers at all?
It will not be on rollers. No.
Anybody else? Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Bachmann.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lundberg.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pratt.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grabowski.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of the purchase of an attack digital fire training system. The Manistee Fire Department received funds from the 2023 Local Revenue Sharing Board, Cycle 2, to purchase an attack digital fire training system. The system is being purchased through a cooperative purchasing program in the amount of $31,312.80. LRSB grant money will fund the entire project. At this time, council could take action to approve the purchase of an attack digital fire training system in the amount of $31,312.80. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Chief, you wanna walk us through this, how this thing works, please?
Yes, please.
Okay, so with this LRSB grant cycle, I asked for 2 different training products. The first training product was a fire extinguisher trainer. That fell under the threshold, so we were able, city manager was able to approve that. That's really a digital training screen where you take a fire extinguisher and citizens can practice putting out a fire using this digital equipment. Now, the one that costs $31,000, that would be the same type of technology, but it's based for firefighting training. So what we're doing is we're putting in these screens that replicate the glow, the sound, and the movement of fire, combining that with a smoke machine. And we're going to put that into the training center that's located behind the Manistee Township Fire Department, and we can replicate fire attack scenarios. With those realistic attack scenarios, we're able to safely go in and practice putting out fires and really have a really realistic training experience.
Will you use real water or simulated water?
Real water.
Real water. And it's available for anybody in the county then to use? Anybody in the association, or is that the city of Manistee?
Well, we'll be purchasing it, but I have every intent of taking it to that training center, holding training classes really and really opening it up. I think when there's an emergency in this community, it's going to take multiple fire departments to really get ahead of it, and I want to start practicing and cooperating with them
Good deal.
On a monthly basis.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Bachmann.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lundberg.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pratt.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grabowski.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of authorizing permanent Riverwalk easements with West Shore Community College and the Downtown Development Authority for the EDA Riverwalk Grant Project. The Spicer Group and the city attorney identified several locations that require permanent easement to utilize federal funds to implement the city's EDA Riverwalk grant scope of work. The easements are located at 400 River Street and 324 River Street. These easements are required for the city to be reimbursed for work performed on these properties. Final approval is contingent on grantor and the city attorney approval. At this time, council could take action to authorize permanent Riverwalk easements with West Shore Community College and Downtown Development Authority for the EDA Riverwalk grant and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute these documents. Is there a motion?
Go ahead. I'll support.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Any discussion?
Who can tell us a little bit more about where exactly these are located? I'm looking at the pictures and I'm a little fuzzy on exactly what that looks like.
Okay, so the two locations are the switchback at the east end of the Riverwalk, near the east end,
Okay.
down by our office. That's DDA property. And then the other one is West Shore Community College. And the two uses we're looking at is at, so at West Shore, I guess I'll start with the DDA property, the switchback. The federal grant requires that the city has easement on all the properties if there's any work's going to be completed. And at that switchback, it's actually owned, it shows up as being owned by the DDA, not officially by the city of Manistee. So to get to kind of cross all the Ts and dot all the Is, we need to get that easement executed with the DDA. So they've got a meeting on the 12th, I believe, coming up that we'll present this easement to them
Okay.
if you approve of it. And then the other one's West Shore, and we're looking at kind of a viewing area that'll be on the west end of their property.
Okay.
Where people can kind of just, look at ships passing by, and that area, they have an easement already on their property for the Riverwalk, but this just gives a little bit of extra area for from the street right away that's adjacent to it. So
Okay.
each of on the west side, that street that goes down next to the Elks,
Yes.
that right away goes well into their driveway, but there's a portion that would be the college's property that would get an easement on to make sure we have good, clean access all the way to it.
So when we do the easement, it's a permanent easement, so that means that we don't own it anymore, or we own it, but we just,
It's, West Shore Community College owns it. We'll have an easement for the public to go over it. Yeah.
Okay.
So they'll still continue to own it. We have an easement for access.
okay.
Anybody else? Thank you. Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Bachmann.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lundberg.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan. Councilmember Pratt.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grabowski.
Yes,
Motion approved.
Thank you. Consideration of update to the council guidelines CP10 during the annual organizational meeting on November 14th, 2023. The city council guidelines CP10 were reviewed. No changes were made at that time. Council took action to approve as it is at that meeting. After the meeting, members of council asked to update some aspects of CP10, including amending Section 6 study sessions, changing the language to no longer requiring regular monthly study sessions, changing Section 6 of CP10 would also then make it easier to amend the 2024 council calendar, removing most scheduled study sessions, but budget study sessions remain scheduled. At this time, council could take action to amend Section 6 study session of CP10 and remove scheduled study sessions from the 2024 calendar. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
So this means if we wanted to do a study session, we just have to request one beforehand, or how did that work?
So, like most cities and townships, they do study sessions either quarterly or
Okay.
as a as-need basis.
Okay.
So we just need to amend that so it's not on the calendar.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Tim, I got a question. So, I also wanted to add in there, where am I here? To amend where it says council concerns and comments on our agenda to reflect updates and comments, so it coincides with CP10. So do I need to make a motion after this one?
You could do a motion to amend the motion, to add that in, and if that has support, then you could amend the motion on the floor. I believe there was already a motion to make this change, was it? So you could make a motion to amend the change to add an additional.
Okay, so I'd like it to make a motion to add the change of, on the agenda, for it to say updates and comments to coincide with our CP10 guidelines instead of concerns and comments.
Support.
Thank you. Heather, would you please take roll?
Okay, so the first will be on the motion to amend.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Councilmember Bachmann.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lundberg.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pratt.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Grabowski.
yes,
Motion approved.
Thank you.
And then next will be the motion, the original motion as amended. Councilmember Bachmann.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lundberg.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pratt.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Grabowski.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Consideration of committee appointments. The following committee appointments, somewhere in here, are as follows. NRBC Sullivan, Utilities Committee Bachman, Sands Park Control Board Martin Pontiac. Do you want everybody that's on these boards? I'm sorry. Okay. Martin Pontiac, Jeff McCula, Ron Stoneman, Jim Thompson.
Oh, just the city people.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay. Personnel Committee, Dave Bachman, Sullivan, Grabowski.
Personnel Committee, those are the manager's approval, or the manager's appointments, so he'll have to do those at the next meeting.
Okay.
So that one we'll have to leave off the agenda
Okay.
and wait till he's here.
Ordinance Committee, Grabowski, Sullivan, Bachman. Oil and Gas Investment Board, Sullivan, Smith. MRA Board, Lundberg. Local Revenue Sharing Board, Grabowski. Audit Committee, Martin Pontiac, Grabowski, and Smith. And AAY is Martin Pontiac.
We have Bradford on the Oil and Gas Board too.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right,
And Chief Glass on the 911 Board Authority.
okay. And then we just need a motion and a second.
Okay, is there a motion to support these second?
I make a motion to support those.
I second it.
Thank you. Heather, would you please take roll?
Councilmember Bachmann.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lundberg.
Yes.
Mayor Sullivan.
Yes.
Councilmember Pratt.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Grabowski.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, now we will have core values exercise from Fire Chief Herndon.
Here they are.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so at the last council meeting, Councilperson Lundberg and Mayor Sullivan discussed their Michigan Municipal League Conference that they attended. That meeting inspired them to some of the key points they brought back. And some of the key points they brought back were having a positive intent, finding common ground, having tough conversations, and how to come together with them. The importance of values like integrity, kindness, accountability, and betterment of the community. We also had citizens come up in front of the council and discuss how Manistee has hope and promise because of leaders like you. And I can say from like a personal standpoint, I've been here for about 6 months, and there's not a doubt in my mind that we have the talent in this room to take Manistee beyond the cusp of something. It was also described, we were on the cusp. We were so close, but we're just not quite there yet. But going back to the meeting, towards the end of the meeting, Councilperson Bachmann pointed out that we violated just about every one of those principles, and the plane crashed and set the field on fire. So in response to that fire, get the fire chief up here. All right, the city manager asked me to develop a team building exercise, which was also suggested, to move forward to help this community reach its full potential. So this activity that I've come up with identifies and matches some of our core values with some wish principles that we're going to recognize. So to start off this thing, what we're going to do is we're going to review the mission, vision, and purpose of Manistee, and this is what we have displayed right now. So right now, Manistee, the vision of Manistee, and the vision is something that is on the council's radar. So this is the main part of what council is dealing with, the future and the far-reaching goals. So our vision right now is Manistee is a safe, positive community to live, work, and play. Now we move on down to the mission part of this, and to continue our mission, which the mission more or less deals with the different commissions and the department heads and the leaders and the employees, and we mainly focus on the mission. All right, and we're to continue to enrich, to encourage a rich heritage of successes in industry, businesses, while continuing to enhance our vibrant residential character. And then we keep on moving further down our hierarchy, and then the purpose is to protect the health, safety, welfare of citizens in order that all may prosper, enjoy, and partake in a vibrant waterfront community that many will be proud to call home. And once again, in my short time here, I'm very proud to call this place home. Now, we keep on moving down our list, and we do have some core values. All right, and right now our core values, they're listed there above: fairness, integrity, and honesty of highest ethical standards, a commitment to the community, tolerance, accessibility, and approachability, listening, responsiveness, leadership, trust, responsibility, and universal access for people of all abilities. Now, those are all great, great values to have. And we can read those, we can put them on the wall, and they feel good to have there. But I think it's important for leaders like us, when we come in these rooms, to really dive into these values, get our hands dirty, and really discuss with each other and have these tough conversations of how do we identify those values. Because like me personally, I say listening, that core value, it's very easy for me to step back and say, yes, of course, everybody should listen. But no, what is listening? How do I listen? And we really think of it internally, and how do we internally decipher that core value, and how are we going to personally put that in practice for the betterment of our community? So what I did is we came up, I have a little homework assignment, and I'm going to hand out this homework assignment, and it's going to attest to this piece of paper, which I'll send it out digitally to all your email addresses. And what it does is it lists all of our core values here. I would like all of the council people to list their top 5 core values and put it in a sentence. All right, let's put it in it of how you define that core value and the ones you did. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather this information, I'm going to compile it together, and I'm going to bring it to the next study session. And that's where we're going to find out where our common ground is. And once we found out our common ground and what are the things that we're going to start working for, we're going to come up with our wish values, our wish statements. If we remove all of the obstacles, where do we want to be? So once we have our core values and how we describe them with our wishes, we'll identify the obstacles, and we're going to develop strategies to move beyond it so that Manistee is no longer on the cusp of anything. So we're there, and we get there, and we accomplish our vision. So I'll pass this out to y'all. If you have any questions on it, I'm at the fire station. You can stop on by, see me anytime. I'll also have this sent out.
Values here?
What's that?
Are we locked into these values here, or can we add 1 or 2 others? I mean, are these the ones that we can work with? Is this list up here?
So this is the list that I got, off the wall now. I think leadership, it is 100% within the realm. My personal opinion is that is exactly what you do with the vision, is you establish the values, and if you need more, you need less, or we need to refocus, or there needs to be different ones.
Okay.
I believe that you can establish different values.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
But that's what I intend to do, that we just start working together and we'll really get into this. And I'm really looking forward to doing this. We'll do this over the next few study sessions, council meetings. And the end game here is that we have a board that with common ground on it and a clear path of moving us forward. So, thank you.
So no cage match.
you.
Pretty, instead of a cage match.
It's graded on a curve.
I will send it out.
I've been practicing.
Thank you.
Yep. Put it in her packet, and then Heather can give it to her.
How cool. Thank you. See, I'll be able to pick somebody up. I hurt my back.
Okay, now we will have a report from the city clerk, Ms. Heather Peppley.
Okay. I just have a brief overview of what the clerk's office has been doing this year. I'm the lucky one. I get to kind of end out the year with my report. Everybody else does theirs throughout the year, but I always get December. So I'll just go ahead and get started.
Heather, you're kind of hard to hear.
Oh, let me bring this forward.
Thank you.
So our department, nothing has changed staff-wise in our department this year. I'm finishing out my 6th year as city clerk, but I've been with the city for 23 years. I have my deputy clerk, payroll clerk is Laura Lorraine. She's been with the city for 6.5 years. We both are certified municipal clerks through the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. We are both Michigan Professional Municipal Clerk certified. I'm a level 2, Laura's level 1, and then we have our State of Michigan election accreditation. We have part-time election inspectors who are required to have training every 2 years. We typically, in the past, have had about 35 election inspectors. Our pool is down quite a bit right now. We have between 20 and 25. So we are looking right now for additional election inspectors, especially with early voting starting. So I've been going out to political party chairs, looking for their help in recruiting. I'm going to be putting out some information on social media, reaching out. I'm going to reach out to the schools, see if I can get any assistance there. Unfortunately, if they're under 18, they don't count against my count, but going to do my best to get some new workers in there, especially with the new equipment that we have coming in. It'd be nice to get maybe some younger kids in there at least to help out, because they don't fear the computer equipment quite as much. So we also work closely with the Finance Treasurer Department. Kaylee Owens, Deputy Treasurer, Utility Billing Clerk, she has been a chairperson for my absentee counting board. It's great to have her assistance there. Laura McKenzie is the accountant, accounts payable. She started with us in June. She also has said that she'll train and help me out where she can. Ed Bradford, of course, he's been there 22 years. I don't ask him to help. He goes and picks up lunch for us or things like that. But no, he's always there to help out on election day if we need it. Continued education and training. Laura and I have been really diving in this year, taking anything that we can get from the Bureau on Proposal 2, early voting, anything like that. Of course, Laura attends the annual payroll conference, but Proposal 2 has really been our focus this year, and taking in all the new law, requirements, anything that we can take in that's going to prepare us for next year. There are a lot of changes coming, and they still don't have all the answers for us, but we're taking it as it comes. Our responsibilities, a lot of them are the same as last year. There are a few that have changed. As I said, Laura McKenzie has taken over the accounts payable part of the duties. She does entering the invoices and paying the checks, issuing the checks. I still follow up with checking some of the administrative stuff, doing transfers, things like that. We've taken on some of the roles with the new community development director. Laura Lorraine is now doing planning commission minutes. I'm assisting with some of the HDC stuff. Laura McKenzie is doing the minutes on that, but I'm helping out with agendas and packets. We're trying to assist them, any way we can to help out with that department, because they do have a lot that they've taken on, bringing that back in-house. In 2023, we issued 31 business registrations, 5 mobile food vending permits. We renewed 4 recreational retail marijuana licenses. We had 1 recreational retail that actually transferred to a new owner. And then we had 1 new recreational processor license, and we have 2 medical grow permits that are pending final approval right now. They have a provisional at this time. Highlights. I am the liaison for the Compensation Commission, and they were extremely happy that they had the first approved increase to council and mayor wages, that first approval since 2009. So that was something big that happened this year. Those will take effect January of 2025. I propose an update to Chapter 850 of the Codified Ordinance for Business Registration. That'll be coming to you for consideration, I believe, the end of this month at the meeting, the end of the month. We have a new state-funded drop box out front. I'm sure you noticed it for absentee voter ballots. The one that we had before was given to us by the state during COVID. And at that time, they just were trying to get them out. And so they sent whatever they could. And they just were not what we should have. We had to doctor it up a little bit. You could have put a small child down in there. They were so big. And so we had to make the opening smaller, and they just said they didn't meet the requirements. So we had to get a new one, but the state paid for that and brought that to us. And so we got that put in place, and that's ready to go for next year as well. And as I said, countless hours have been spent researching election laws and all the anticipated changes for next year. So proposal 2 is more than just early voting. It's state-funded drop boxes, state-funded prepaid absent voter ballot postage, which means all postage for return mail on anything absent voter related is paid for by the state. We now have a permanent mail ballot list, which means a voter can, and I have it on the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit more, but a voter can sign up one time to get ballots for all elections. Presidential primary ballot selection form, absent voter ballot tracking through michigan.gov/vote. Signature cure, which means after an election, if somebody does not sign their ballot or we don't know the validity of their signature, they have up until 3 days after the election to cure that signature. Photo IDs, additional types of photo IDs are now allowed. County or local government IDs are now a valid form of ID for voting. A military overseas ballot, if it is postmarked by election day, as long as we receive that up to 6 days after the election, it will be counted. We are now allowed to process absentee voter ballots before election day. We just need to file that with the state. And then, of course, in-person early voting. The permanent ballot list. All voters have the right to complete a single application and be mailed a ballot for all future elections. Don't know why that went away. I'm not sure what happened there. I'll just talk and see if that comes back. I don't know where that went. So the permanent ballot list moves with the voter, and when the voter updates their registration across the state, including jurisdictions, it will update. And then it's required for all jurisdictions in all elections. Hold on one second. I think it's gone. So I'll just finish up here. I'm almost done. We are going to need it for the next one, though. Voters, let's go on to the next thing here. So anyways, for that, we do have anybody who's on the permanent list, though, this week going out in the mail, I just wanted to say, is a permanent, it's a selection form for the presidential primary, because anybody who's on that list, we're not going to know what type of ballot they want for the presidential primary. So if anybody's on that list, they will be getting a letter in the mail. They'll have to let us know what type of ballot they want for the February primary. And so those are going out this week. Early voting, we signed an agreement with the county for early voting. There will be 3 locations in our county for early voting. One will be here at City Hall for all city residents. The other locations will be Manistee Township Hall, and then also Maple Grove Township will be a location. But all city residents will vote here at City Hall, which I thought would be convenient because people coming in to pay water bills or taxes, it might bring them in and give them that, oh, hey, I can go vote, and they'll be here. I thought if I put them somewhere off, they might not realize, and we might not get as much of a turnaround. Early voting will be from 8:30 to 4:30. For those 9 days, it will start the second Saturday before the election and end the Sunday before the election. There is no early voting for local elections, only state and federal elections. This year we had an election in May for Manistee Area Public Schools. We had a 21% turnout for that election, And the election in November for city council, we had it was a 24.86% turnout, which is, pretty good for a small election. I thought that was a good turnout. Next year, the election timeline, we have February 27th is the presidential primary, and early voting will begin on February 17th and end on the 25th. The August primary is August 6th, which means early voting will start July 27th and end on August 4th. And then the November general election is November 5th, with early voting starting October 26th and ending November 3rd. And I apologize that that went out. I'm not sure what happened, but any questions?
So results of elections won't happen for 6 days then after the election.
There is a possibility of that, yes. So,
How that could not happen? I mean,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. So we, here, if we don't have any outstanding military, like in Manistee County, if we didn't have any outstanding military ballots, if they were all returned and we had everything, we would have our Manistee results.
But a national election is gonna be a
But,
mess.
well, and nationally, it'd be Michigan, because this is a Michigan law. So,
Other states are not doing that.
not all,
Not
no.
yet. Okay, all right.
No, this was our law, so,
Thank you.
yes.
Good to know.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Did it? Oh, it's back. I don't know what I did. Okay. Well, I'm not going to touch anything right now. I'm going to see if I can get Sammy's up here.
Thanks, Heather.
Yes.
Now we'll have a tourism economic impacts, Sammy Lukaskevitz.
It's a good thing the video came back on because this would be very bad.
Right?
Okay, there we go.
Yes, it's there.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and our council members. I was here, I think, a couple of months ago talking about our mission and our vision and our purpose to enhance Manistee County as the premier northern Michigan travel destination. And we do that through marketing, through education and collaboration. And tonight I'm going to show you a little bit about what we've been working on and then also give you the results of those efforts. So that might not work then.
Is that your,
Yes.
Let me press play here.
The biggest question I usually get is about our structure as an organization. Well, we're a countywide destination marketing organization that's been around since 1996. We're a 501c6 governed by Public Act 59, so by state law. We're funded by a 5% assessment of hotels with 10 rooms or more. But we have members that range in size of 1 room all the way to 300. And we're governed by a 12-member board of directors. In the summer, we have about 1,200 hotel rooms. In winter, we have about 1,000 because some hotels shut down for winter. And we have about 100 short-term rentals across the county that are members. And again, properties range in size from 1 room to about 300 rooms. Videos and photos, the ads, the strategy, everything that you see and your friends see are, even the outreach to media, all help us tell part of our story, and we work to connect stakeholders. So how do we tell our story? Well, here's a sample of a little bit of the work that we did. We do online, we do out of home, we do a lot of print. We still do print, and we do a lot of social, both paid social and organic. We print about 50,000 vacation guides every year. We've mailed out 4,000 of those to people all over the country. And then we supply brochure racks in most of Michigan, all the MDOT welcome centers, and then we have a paid service. Anywhere you see brochures, you're probably going to see our information. But we're also in racks throughout Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. And we have about 33,000 newsletter subscribers. We also recognize that we're a regional destination, so we promote a lot of regional assets. I mean, guests don't see county lines, so when they come to Manistee County, they're probably going to go into other places, go to Sleeping Bear Dunes, maybe hit a couple of wineries, but we want them to stay and spend the night in Manistee County. Sherry Protashevitz does a really good job managing our organic social media, but we also have some paid social in the marketplace. And all total, through our paid media, through Google search, our website hits, and our organic social, we hit about 4.6 million people through all of our digital channels. And earned media. We do a lot of pitches. We took that in-house this year. That's where I feel most comfortable. I think that's an opportunity to grow. But we had about 15 articles across 44 publications from last November to last week. That doesn't include any sleigh bell coverage. But we look to really promote Manistee year-round with partnerships with photographers, trying to catalog all of the assets that we have throughout the county. So I'm going to take a little bit of a dive into some of the data. I've told you before how much I love data. In reviewing the data that we got from the state of Michigan for 2022, these numbers are for last year. More than 704,000 people visited Manistee County, and that's up from 2021. That equates to about $142 million in economic impact throughout the county. Our top in-state markets are Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Detroit, and Flint, Saginaw. And our top out-of-state markets are Chicago, Indianapolis, Toledo, and South Bend. And there are about 971 jobs associated with tourism. Those do not include the casino's jobs. So the visitor spend by category, it's pretty interesting. I mean, we're an outdoor recreation destination, but the state catalogs gaming as recreation. So the reason why you see such a high number for recreation is because we are fortunate enough to have a casino here. Lodging was up, just about everything across the board was up. Some numbers are reflected as a result of inflation, but the lodging, food and beverage, transportation, they were all up. Our transportation is a little bit smaller than some similarly sized counties because we don't have taxis, or for the most part, we don't have a lot of transportation of that. But the dial-a-ride factors into that. Also having a hotel or a airport factors into that as well. Some of the other interesting data, these are just little nuggets that I found kind of fun. 57% of travelers are return visitors. So within the last year, more than half of people who have visited us will come back. So that really speaks to the experience that they have when they come to our community. 33% of travelers are booking within 30 days of travel. So you can look at it as, you know, is that long-term or is that short-term? I plan vacations out pretty far, but this is a drivable destination. So this is great for last-minute fun on the weekends. 60% of the visitors are looking for outdoor activities, and 54% of guests are looking for unique and local dining experiences. And about 25% of their budget is spent on food. So looking ahead to 2024, I've still got a lot of work to do. I've only been at the Bureau for a little over a year, and we still have some county signage that we need to update. We still want to continue some really good quality printed pieces. We've got strategic planning that we need to do. We might invite you in as our guest speaker. And I'd like to do some long-term budget forecasting, just to get the Tourism Authority looking 3 years or so down the road, and still continue to promote Manistee with the very best creative that we can. Thanks for the time today, and thank you to everyone for your help during Sleigh Bell, particularly Chief Glass and Jeff for all the assistance in that. It was a pretty good weekend, so.
I probably
Any
should
questions?
Question, because I should know this answer. New signs, are those yours?
The new
At the entrance
signs.
to the city, the new,
The city signs are not ours, those are
those
yours.
brand new ones?
Brandy new, and those are your signs.
I've asked, I've looked, I don't remember budgeting for them, I don't remember. How many years ago was it, Jeff, that we did that?
We just budgeted for them right now and implemented them a month ago.
They're actually nice. We're looking at how we model ours to be very similar to those.
It looked kind of like it on
Yeah.
the diagram there. Okay, thank you.
Yep, doing a fantastic job. I said this in an earlier meeting today with the presentation. Fantastic work. You are a gem, and we are very lucky to have you.
I
Keep up the
appreciate
great
that.
work.
Thank you.
Very
I have
impressive.
a good board and a team that helps, so,
Very impressive.
and it's easy to promote this place, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will have a review of the Open Meetings Act by the city attorney.
Can I use that little thing there?
Sure can't.
If you don't mind, I'll come over here. I just wanted to introduce myself. I haven't gotten the chance to meet everybody yet. So my name is Tim Figuera. I recently joined Micah Myers, and I've been helping George with covering these meetings, and I've been happy to have the opportunity, and thank you for giving me that opportunity. So I talked with the city manager about sort of getting in front of you guys. I wanted to make it really quick. That's why I put together a 5-minute presentation on the Michigan Open Meetings Act. When I usually do this, it's about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to try to do it real quick, and I figured I could cover it like this. So the Open Meetings Act covers decisions and deliberations. So the basis of it is that a public body cannot make decisions unless they're made at a meeting that's open to the public, and a public body can't deliberate among a quorum of its members. Any deliberation, rather, should take place at a meeting open to the public, or shall take place at a meeting open to the public. So that means that, let's say, 4 of you were to meet downtown and happen to see each other and then start deliberating on public policy, that would be a violation of the Open Meetings Act, unless it was a chance gathering not designed to avoid the Open Meetings Act. But the best thing to do if you find yourself there with 4 of you is to say, let's kind of go separate ways, or we can hang out or talk about something else rather than deliberate about public business. So first, what is a public body? So a public body is any body that's empowered by state law to exercise governmental or proprietary authority, or to perform a governmental or proprietary function. An example would be a city council like yourselves. It also could be an authority such as a public water authority that might cover multiple municipalities. And it also includes the boards, commissions, committees, subcommittees, and authorities underneath a public body. So all of your commissions would be public bodies as well that also need to follow the Open Meetings Act. Next question would be, what is a meeting? So a meeting is a convening of a public body at which a quorum is present for the purpose of deliberating toward or rendering a decision on a public policy. So if everyone's in a room and let's say meeting downtown accidentally, in that scenario that I was talking about where you have 4 of you meeting in the middle of the street and starting to deliberate, that would actually be a meeting because it would meet the definition of a public body where there's a quorum deliberating toward a public policy. The problem with that meeting is that it wouldn't have been noticed to the public like your meetings are here. Your regular meetings are noticed and they're on a schedule that's put together at the very beginning of the year for the whole year. So Closed sessions. So closed sessions, I'm sure you're aware of those. Those are the only exception to the Open Meetings Act, or the general rule that your meetings need to be open to the public. Closed sessions are allowed for only very specific purposes that are listed in statute, and I always recommend that you reach out to your attorney before holding a closed session, or at least until you really get that procedure down. In order to go into a closed session, most purposes require a 2/3 roll call vote of the members, and you also need to provide the purpose of the closed session, which will need to match the language of one of those exceptions in the Open Meetings Act. So for an example, a permissible purpose to go into a closed session is to consult with the public body's attorney regarding trial settlement strategy in connection with specific pending litigation, but only if doing so at an open meeting would have a detrimental financial effect on the litigating or settlement position of the public body. It's very wordy, it's very technical, that definition there, and you'll find that there's a lot of things in there that might not mean what you think, like specific pending litigation. For this statute, pending means actually filed. It doesn't mean threatened. So just an example of the kinds of tricky things that can happen and how narrow those closed session purposes are. A decision. So we had talked before about rendering a decision on public policy. A decision is defined as a determination, action, vote, or disposition on a motion, proposal, recommendation, resolution, etc. It's all the kinds of things you do at meetings, and that's the kind of thing that you cannot do when you're not at a meeting. What not to do. So there's a couple of things that I always point out when I do an Open Meetings Act seminar. The first is no deliberation by email. This is probably one of the more common tricks that can or sort of problems that a public body can run into. There's always a need to disseminate information among the members, and so oftentimes you'll receive an email. It might have all of your names on it, and sometimes you might be all blind copied on it. But if one person were to respond to the email by replying to all, and then someone else responds by replying to all, next thing you know, you might have just had deliberation outside of a meeting. In that circumstance, we usually recommend trying to cure that by putting it in the meeting packet, but it can also be embarrassing for people to have that show up in the meeting packet and have an explanation why. So the best rule of thumb we always give is if you get an email, even if you don't see everybody's name on it, don't reply all. It's best to just reply to one, assuming that this is something having to do with your public purpose. In your private lives, please reply all anytime you want. And then the other would be non-public deliberation during a public or during an open meeting. That's another situation that can cause a problem if there's, say, notes or whispering or texting between members of the public body, because those can constitute deliberation outside of the view of the public, and that deliberation needs to be open at the meeting. So that's another thing that some public bodies can run into some problems with. So the best thing to do is sort of save those things for later. If they're personal, saving it for later is the best thing to do, because you don't want to give the appearance that there's extra communications happening between members. Last, public participation. As you know, you have 2 spots for public participation during your meetings. You're required to have at least 1, and you're allowed to put reasonable limitations on the time that folks are allowed to speak, and also on the content that they're allowed to comment on at different times during the meeting. Last, we always want to leave you with the final thought that it's your meeting, and the public is allowed to come and participate in your meeting by commenting during those times, but this is your meeting because this is the only time that you have where you can actually take care of business. This is the only time where you can make decisions like we talked about before. This is also the only time when you can deliberate is at a public meeting. So that is it. Was that about 5 minutes? Was it a little over?
I do have a question. So on the Parks Commission, they have in their, this has been an issue for years now. So they have a part in their bylaws that set, am I right, Jeff, that all the council takes a tour of the parks once a year?
Uh-huh.
And nobody, like, I was the only one that did it last year, like, nobody would get on the bus. So I don't know if is that okay or not
It
okay?
is okay, because there's an exception for a chance gathering that's not designed to avoid the Open Meetings Act.
Okay.
So the Open Meetings Act provides for that, but even that being said, a lot of folks are sort of not comfortable with it for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Myself included. I sit on a planning commission, and we had a visit to a site one time, and we all went at the same time, and the whole time I'm thinking, oh, they better be doing this right, because I don't want to
Okay.
have an aggrieved person come out and say that we, were deliberating while we were there. So everybody, in that particular case, we just didn't talk the whole time. We just
Okay.
walked around and observed. And so it ends up having some weird ramifications. But again, there is a specific loophole in there that you're allowed to have a chance gathering that's not designed to violate the Open Meetings Act. And a perfect example is like an MML event that all of you might attend. So, and those are perfectly fine.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, where are we? Thank you. Citizens' comment. This is an opportunity for citizens in attendance to comment on municipal services, activities, or areas of city involvement limited to 5 minutes. Letters submitted to council will not be publicly read. Okay. You want me to, well, you just gave your report. Tim, do you have another one or no?
Oh, I have no other report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Yes.
Just before the meeting, Mr. Gamble wanted me to bring up two things for you. Number one, the city received, and I think you've got this in your weekly email, but we received a Category B grant for $250,000 to repave Lincoln Street. It's the first time we've been successful at that category since it was created. And then after that, we received, I think it was last weekend, we received notification that we received $375,000 grant for Category F, which will help repave some of the truck route beginning at 1st and 31 down to Sibin to 5th, portions of 5th down to Kosciuszko, and all the way to 8th. So those are very significant. You add to that our small urban that we are already scheduled to receive in 25 for Washington Street after the detour and all the impact is done. It's over $1 million from the state of Michigan, so we're pretty proud of that. I didn't realize until we just got to the last page of the agenda, but Bill also wanted to request from council to consider moving our discussion on the streets from next Tuesday to the following meeting. Sean Middleton and I are planning to go down to Lansing and present to the Trust Fund Grant Board on our North River Walk grant application. Sean and I went up to Sault Ste. Marie and made a presentation to this board, I think it's in September. Next week is when they actually will find out their funding amounts and availability from Treasury, and then we'll determine how close we get or whether we get within that scoring range. And we're told that sometimes just being there and making the right pitch can move you into that funding category, even if your score may not quite make that. So we'd like to make that request. Interestingly enough, Councilman Smith and I received the same presentation from Sammy earlier today in a Harbor Commission, and I took some information. First of all, I thought the presentation was pretty incredible, but I took 3 pieces of information out of that I'd like to use to that trust fund. We scored the highest this year that we've scored in the 3 times we've gone after this. And if you look at how the points are awarded, we've pretty much maxed out everything we can. We missed a little bit on the poverty level because our poverty is not at the lowest in the state. Not much you can do about that or want to get to that. But then the other thing is they award a lot of points for being in metropolitan areas or in Southeast Michigan. We're never going to get that either. So we've kind of maxed this out. I feel like this is our last shot. We really want to go get it. In Sammy's presentation, she showed that there were 705,000 people that visit our county each year, which is incredible. But 77% of those people are from in the state of Michigan, and 60% of those people want outdoor recreation. So we plan on telling the state that we may not have the population, but this is where they come to recreate and enjoy their, when they're vacationing. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, before you go,
Sure.
you're talking about 8th Street, are we doing some, a lot of people have asked me what needs to be done, because a lot of people don't see anything wrong with 8th Street. What's the problem?
Sure. We've had that internal conversation. We were thinking about doing some asset management training for council so that you guys can understand that whole principle. But it's really about the full asset management principle is doing the treatments that cost the least amount, can have the biggest impact, and keeping your overall network healthy. So while 8th Street isn't the worst street in the city of Manistee, we can do one of the lowest cost treatments, which is a slurry seal, and we can impact a much larger area of street and bring that back up to an 8 or 9 PASER rating, a structural rating, and then add remaining service life to it. So, that project was selected specifically as an asset management
Okay,
principle.
there's not any curbs going in there?
No. And it would start at Tamarack, and it would go all the way down to Vine Street, and it would skip out that section that we just repaved between Davis and.
Maybe 20 feet before Tamarack and get that one patches in there. That'd be great.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we've had a couple main breaks there.
Yeah, I know. It'd be nice I'd hate to see us start and leave that there.
I know.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pratt?
I have nothing.
Mr. Growski?
Yes, Mayor asked me to come up with a few ideas of what's been done around Manistee and some positive aspects of everything. And so I think we have to, all the different projects that have been done, and I tried to write down, go through it when she just asked me a week ago, trying to remember a year ago. But I think getting the hotel at First Street Beach was a big thing for Manistee. A lot of people like it. A lot of people didn't like it when we started out. A lot of people do like it now. So that's quite a big asset for Manistee. You got Morton Park now down on 3rd Street, which a lot of people are happy about. We're trying to get pickleball courts. This is all things that, Manistee can use, and everybody's working on it, which is a good thing. The housing, we worked on that and got people removed so we could go forward. We hired new people, which really changed the housing situation for low-income people, and it's really made a difference. They really cleaned up down over on 6th Avenue, and they're doing a great job over there. I go to the meetings, and so it's a big thing. Also, a lot of people are working on an amphitheater for First Street. We don't know how big it's gonna be, what all they're gonna do. So everybody's working on money to get this thing built. We got new firefighters on already, coming on, police officers coming on. So that's great. We voted on them a long time ago, and I'm glad to see them. We're getting back to where we were. We're trying to get talk about the Gus Macker coming in 25, but we don't know if Ludington's going to keep it or not. So that's up in the air. I was glad for the mayor and Council Lindbergh to go to the municipal league and get all the information and updates, which improves us to help the city get improved with everything. The Christmas parade was great. I didn't hear too many complaints, so obviously it was pretty good. You always get a complainer somewhere. The railroad project, they're really trying to get the money to get the railroad moved before that bridge caves in. And that would be great if they can get that thing moved somehow. They're doing the streetscape.
And speaking of what you're talking about in housing, what did they do on 12th Street? Did they vacate all those houses?
No. They haven't, just the one was empty for a while, now the other one's empty.
So all 3 of them are empty now? Is there 2 or 3? 2, they're both empty now?
It's an apartment.
Are they gonna leave them empty?
No, they're gonna, in April, clean the one out that's empty, that guy was living in. They're gonna try to assess whether it's too damaged because it's really bad in there.
Do you know where he went?
He went to the casino for a week, and now he's out of the casino today, or yesterday. And I don't know where he's
On
at.
his own right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's, the time being, staying at Safe Harbor, and he's in touch with Veteran Services. They're trying to find a long-term solution for him. So he went from there to the casino, trying to work with, there's a number of service providers that are working with him, sometimes around the clock to get a
That was
long-term.
hard to do, but that's a shame that he just out there, gotta go to Safe Harbor, but okay. Thank you.
Well, you don't want to go, so it's hard.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
See what else I got here.
You don't have to go through the whole year, Jim. That's okay.
You see, I don't-
Okay, go ahead.
And we're happy for a lot of the new businesses that have come downtown. It's really, you know, we need to keep, there's a few stores that are small, and if we can get more business in there, that'd be great. But it's looking up for Manistee from what it used to be for a long time. It was really dreary. So it's getting improved, and that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bachman.
Big thing I got is Jeff, you listened and you got those leaves up this year. Do it for the next 10 years, and we're all gonna be thrilled to death. Thank you very much. You exceeded my expectations, and I appreciate it. That's all I got.
Mr. Smith.
Just to kind of piggyback on Councilmember Grubba, sorry, the sleigh bell parade. I mean, it's a community effort, and to see, you know, people from this council out there, you know, even, you know, former council members participating, it's really a diamond for this community, and I just love seeing it. Great work, everybody. We all deserve a pat on the back for that, because it was fantastic this year. So that's all I've got.
Ms. Lundberg.
Okay, so I have a couple of thank yous. The ordinance committee, you guys did a great job of really digging through all the ordinances and really pulling up the ones that we wanted to think about or change. I didn't get to say thank you a couple of weeks ago, and I really wanted to make sure I said thank you. And I'm very interested to see what's happening next with that. I think there was some good stuff in there. Sleigh Bell Weekend. It is a group effort, and I tell you, every Sleigh Bell weekend, I walk through downtown and the bustle and the excitement and the fun. This year, the one thing that really stood out to me is at the very end, they asked, who's first timers here? Who is first timers here? And there was a lot of people raising their hand. They've never been here before, and they loved it. I heard from several of them just said, this is amazing. And so that's really exciting. We've been doing this for 34 years, and we had people who'd never been to this and really, really, really appreciate it. I do think there's a buzz going on in Manistee, and I think it's very, very exciting. And then, I don't know if this is public yet or whatever, but Chief Glass, I think there's some really great news out there about you. Is that true about your department?
Yeah, not about me, but our department.
Yeah, well, you lead that, so.
Last week, we had two accreditation assessors come on site. It's a culmination of really a 2-year process for us. And I won't get too far in the weeds. At the end of those 2 days, after they tore our department apart, they advised us that they're going to recommend us for accreditation. So we're 90-some% of the way there. So this February, I'll be attending a Chiefs Conference where I'll have a hearing in front of the state accreditation committee. And I'm being told that more often than not, when you get to that point, it's just a matter of discussing some things and bang the gavel. So very proud of our officers and the effort they put forward. It's not easy. It hasn't been easy. Our officers have not used anything, staffing, complaints as an excuse. They've done a tremendous job, and I think it's a great testament to them and their abilities, so.
Well, it's a
very
small
pleased.
people that get, or departments that get.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's even
Yeah.
huge, that's huge. So congratulations, and wow, yay.
Thank you.
Job well done, a lot of hard work, so I just wanted to recognize you for that. I think that's all I have.
Okay, so I just have a couple things. We have a nice picture of our downtown in the MML magazine this month. I think you guys did a tremendous job with the tree. Looks great. Everything was nice. And I do want to acknowledge this young man that's sitting over here. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but he is doing a school project, and he has been coming here for months, you know, listening to us. So I think that's phenomenal, and thank you. So with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.